Call the meeting to order and welcome everybody. Seems like it wasn't that long ago, that meeting, but it was all the way back in November, so. Sharice, you want to call the roll, please?
Jim Coffey.
Here.
Sid Garrett.
Here.
Peggy Kelly.
Here.
Christina Ubo. Here. Jim Campbell. It's on Zoom. Anna Leem. Here. Chris Rosencross. Will not be able to this run, and Charlotte Louise.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
First thing is, we're gonna we looked at the last minutes from our November 17th meeting. Unless anybody has any questions or changes, I will take a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Sid, second. Jim. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? You. And then. Oh, sorry. I will take a motion to accept the agenda for today's meeting. So, Sid, second. Jim, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so then we can do it. All right, so first up is Dr. Agnetti.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate it. And Jim, are you down in when you're there? Yep. Yes.
No, I'm in Albany.
Yeah. Is it snowing there?
Yes.
I thought so. All right, so good afternoon and welcome and thank you to everyone for joining us today. As we have now moved through the first 4 weeks of the spring semester, I want to begin again with expressing my sincere appreciation for the impact of our faculty and our professional staff and the impact they have across the entire university. Every day our work supports students through moments of challenges and moments of achievements. And for those of us who have been in the classroom, we know that we have gone past the inflection point of some cases the more challenging parts versus all the rah that existed the first few days of the semester. I met one of our nursing students in the Einstein's Bagels. She said, "It's third year, Dr. Agnetti." I said, "I know what that means." She says, "It's getting tougher by the day." And I said, and it's worth it. He goes, "Yeah." So they're feeling it as well. So again, to our university council members, I just want to say thank you for your partnership on behalf of the university. Your engagement strengthens our ability to serve the North Country and to advance SUNY Plattsburgh is important. So today I'm going to highlight several themes that have shaped our momentum this semester, including student success and well-being, inclusion and equity, academic direction and planning, financial stewardship, community partnership, and the continued alignment with SUNY's priorities. And our vice presidents will provide deeper details in their reports, and they'll be able to answer specific questions you may have about their reports. So I want to begin by reflecting on an important moment of SUNY system engagement on our campus. In mid-January, we had the opportunity to welcome Chancellor King to Plattsburgh. During the visit, he spent time with our student athletes and athletic staff. He toured some key campus locations, such as the track, the outdoor track. He spoke directly with students about their academic experience and goals. And those conversations highlighted the strength of our programs, certainly the dedication of our employees, and the ways in which we prepare students for life beyond the classroom. And the Chancellor's visit provided an important opportunity to showcase the work that happens here and to engage in meaningful dialogue about our specific priorities and our future directions. It also afforded me the chance to highlight progress across our divisions. Put another way, got a chance to brag about everybody's work on campus and how we're advancing student access, student opportunities, and inclusion. So as we began 2026, and some of you were here for that, we kicked off with a little breakfast in the ballroom and reaffirmed our core commitments as to what SUNY Plattsburgh represents. We are a student-centered education institution. We strive for academic excellence. We are an institution that supports and embraces diverse people, diverse experiences and ideas. We are building an inclusive community here. We are all about our civic engagement. And again, these are not aspirational phrases. They are the standards by which we hold ourselves accountable, and they continue to serve as our North Star here at the. We remain committed to fostering an environment where all students, where all faculty, where all staff feel valued, supported, and empowered, excuse me, lose my voice, to thrive. That commitment requires integrity, curiosity, civility, collegiality in our classrooms, offices, and shared spaces. So to dig into some of these specifics, enrollment and student success remains central to everything that we do. And the spring 26 term began with very strong momentum. This continues to see positive trends in the recruitment pipeline, increased applications, increased student acceptances, and a significantly early delivery of financial aid and scholarship notification to future students. Well-being and engagement is also sustained focus. Wellness Week brought students together through activities that were designed to support connection, engagement, and well-being. These efforts align closely with our Cardinals Thrive framework, a coordinated approach that integrates academic support, well-being, engagement, and prevention. I'm also pleased to share that SUNY Plattsburgh was one of 27 campuses to receive a SUNY Mental Health First Aid Grant. This funding provides expanded training for faculty, staff, and student-facing employees and will strengthen our collective ability to recognize, to respond to, and support individuals who are experiencing mental health challenges. 3026 also marks an important transition point in our Plattsburgh Next journey. As we conclude the 2022-2025 strategic plan, we now begin preparations for the next iteration. And no, we don't have a name yet. Someone has suggested next. Right. That might get difficult to say. So to do this next step, we're going to reflect and evaluate on our progress. This will clarify what our priorities are and how that will shape the next phase of our collective. At the same time, we are advancing development of our new academic plan under the leadership of Provost Ty and Faculty Senate Chair Bridget Heine. Since September, many stakeholders across the campus have engaged in thoughtful work examining program vitality, enrollment potential, student pathways, and academic quality. Those conversations continue to be refined into a cohesive plan intended to strengthen high-demand programs, support timely degree completion, and ensure academic offerings remain rigorous, competitive, and sustainable. And I'm very happy that the academic planning work aligns closely with SUNY's new academic momentum initiative, which is structured to emphasize clear degree pathways that provide proactive support, student retention, shared responsibility for student success. I'm also pleased to report that much of that work is already familiar to our campus. Academic momentum provides a framework to bring those efforts together in a more intentional and aligned way. As an update, our academic momentum campus plan was submitted to SUNY Central on February the 5th, and we are waiting to receive their feedback on our plan conditions. The goal is to target the incoming fall 2026 class. In addition, SUNY has recently adopted a system-wide science of reading policy as part of Governor Hochul's Back to Basic initiative, strengthening expectations for educator preparation programs across the system. This evidence-based framework helps ensure that the future teachers are prepared with proven literacy, instruction practices that support student success in K-12 classrooms statewide. SUNY Plattsburgh's educational programs will align with these expectations as our implementation moves forward, reinforcing our commitment to academic quality, teacher preparation, and student success across the region. I'm happy to report that SUNY Plattsburgh has remained in a strong financial standing within the system by our transparent budget practices, disciplined planning, and a clear focus on aligning resources with our academic and student success priorities. As we look ahead, campus budget development guidance and templates were prepared for distribution to our account managers to support thoughtful planning across all of our divisions. We also remain engaged in system-level advocacy as the state budget process continues, ensuring that campus needs and priorities are clearly represented. I will also want to acknowledge the behind the scenes work that supports the continuity of operations and campus readiness, particularly our facilities and operations teams. Their efforts during winter conditions ensure that our campus remains both accessible and functional. As you're all aware, New York State continues its 2026-2027 budget development with the Assembly and Senate currently building their response to Governor Hochul's executive budget. For SUNY, here are the highlights that Governor Hochul included. First, maintaining the tuition freeze for resident undergraduate students at all state operated campuses through an increment of $54 million to state operated. Investing additional funding to expand the ASAP and ACE programs to serve 10,000 students by fall of 2026. Doubling the Empire State Service Corps capacity to provide paid community service opportunities for 1,000 SUNY students. Increasing investments in paid career-connected internships as SUNY works towards its goal of ensuring that every undergraduate student has access to experiential learning opportunities. And finally, providing $595 million critical maintenance funding to help address SUNY's overall $10 billion deferred maintenance backlog. Diversity, equity, and inclusion remain foundational commitments here at SUNY Plattsburgh and continue to shape our campus life. Black History Month programming throughout February provided opportunities for learning, reflection, and connection across the community. Our signature event featured Reverend Ronald English, held on February the 10th. He offered a meaningful context and perspective on the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This event drew students, faculty and staff, and community members together for a powerful, deeply personal reflection on the civil rights movement. As a student of Dr. King, who studied under and worked alongside him, Reverend English shared firsthand experiences and historical insight that brought King's leadership and message to life in a uniquely compelling way. Reverend English's remarks provided the campus and local community with a very rare opportunity to hear directly from a living witness to history, connecting past struggles for justice and equity, responsibilities, and opportunities that remain before us today. At a time when conversations surrounding race, equity, and inclusion continue to evolve nationally, SUNY Plattsburgh remains steadfast in its commitment to fostering an inclusive campus environment where diverse perspectives are always welcome, always supported, and respected, and where equity and belonging remain central to our mission and values. I'm also happy to let you know that institutional advancement continues to strengthen alumni engagement, philanthropic support, and community partnership in ways that directly benefit our students and campus priorities. I want to take a moment to highlight the recent Game On for Giving athletics fundraising competition, which this year marked its 10th anniversary as a celebration of the generosity and cardinal pride that sustain our student athletes and our recreational sports programs. The annual competition united alumni, families, friends, faculty, staff, and fans in support of SUNY Plattsburgh's 18 NCAA Division III teams and club sports. This year's Winter Olympic themed campaign featured engagement challenges, donor participation incentives, and renewed energy around donor milestones. As in past years, Game On for Giving helps support infrastructure, equipment, training resources, and overall program needs that enhance the student athlete experience on our campus. Events like Game On that concluded on February 15th reflect the deep connection between SUNY Plattsburgh and the broader Cardinal community, and they demonstrate how alumni and fan generosity continues to create opportunities for student success and the vitality of this campus. Finally, our partnership with Clinton Community College continues its evolution, or some folks say evolution, from relocation to true co-location. And this transformation was highlighted in a recent issue of WorkShift Digital Magazine. While this remains a work in progress, it has already yielded expanded access and opportunities for students and encouraged new points of connection across the community. This includes a new agreement that allows the Clinton community college students, to reside in campus housing at rates that are identical to those paid by SUNY Plattsburgh students. Before I close, I want to provide a brief update on our ongoing vice presidential searches, which remain an important component of strengthening our cabinet leadership team and advancing strategic priorities. Vice President the Vice President for Institutional Advancement, that the firm supporting this effort is RPA. Representative search committees have been established with broad campus participation, including faculty, staff, students, alumni, and foundation members. and university college representation. Finalists are anticipated to visit the campus during the week of April the 6th, and the search continues to move forward on schedule. The Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion search, a search firm has been selected. Firm's name is Whitkeeper. They are a highly experienced executive search firm with extensive work in higher education and diversity leadership, including multiple SUNY institutions. The search is progressing well with semifinalist interviews scheduled for April 16th, 17th. Finalists will be invited to campus for interviews on April 29th and 30th, May 1st, and May 4th, with a projected start date of July. These searches reflect our continued commitment to strong collaborative leadership and ensuring that our administrative team is well positioned to support SUNY Plattsburgh students, employees, and strategic direction. So taken together, SUNY Plattsburgh entered spring 2026 with purpose, clarity, and shared responsibility. We are a campus on the move with clear focus for our future. We continue our important work with unwavering attention on student success, academic direction, responsible stewardship, and strengthening our North Country community. So I want to say thank you again to the entire University Council for your continued advocacy, your leadership, your partnership. We're all important partners in our day-to-day success. I look forward to today's conversation. So Heidi, I suspect there may be a question or two.
Do you have any questions for Dr. Agnetti? Nobody? When we met in the summer, when the Clinton integration was still being developed, there was some very limited ways that they would be able to utilize our campus resources. And I think at your opening in January, you did, or at the end of January, it was more than just the campus housing access that evolved since.
So the two main, and Karen can help with this as well, but the housing piece and the meal plan access, they as they access. But Karen.
Yeah, so in part of the Clinton student right now, we ran a pilot this year where it was only for full-time nursing students. We needed to make sure that they were reaching the students. Prior to my being here, there was a time when Clinton students did live on campus and it wasn't a really good experience. So we started off small. So 2 students live on campus and they needed to pay all upfront for their housing, their meal plan, and all broad-based fees. So they were treated identically to Plattsburgh students. This semester, one continued in residence, but a Plattsburgh student. All right. And the other student chose not to live on campus. So, I think we really yielded well in that particular situation. And so for this fall, though, with Megan's leadership and helping us through lots of puzzles, I guess is a word, with system, students will be able to again apply to live on campus, but we're also going to be offering them opt-in. So opt-in for health center, opt-in for career, opt-in for fitness center, opt-in athletics. But it will be all opt-in and they will be charged at the exact same rates as SUNY students. So I might be a Clinton student, but I'm really interested in development. So they'll pay the fee up front and then they can participate in the services. As we all remember in the memorandum of understanding, it was services added as we had capacity for. So after a year of determining what that looked like for Clinton here, those are the services that have been brought forward on our behalf to offer.
Yes. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You mentioned athletics.
Sports.
Oh,
No, that would
okay.
give them access to all of the facilities and games
Okay.
and things like
I
that.
was
Yeah,
wondering.
recreation.
So are the opt-ins only for those who choose to reside on campus or for
No,
all?
the opt-in is for all Clinton students, but if you live in residence, you are required to pay all the broad-based fees because we need equity between Plattsburgh students and Clinton. We didn't want it to be like, oh, well, you can live here and not have to pay any of the other fees.
So, and is our campus security and maintenance responsible for the Clinton? All right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Hi, it's Jim Campbell. Will the Clinton students be segregated on a floor or in a suite from the normal the normal Plattsburgh State students, or will they be just integrated totally?
So what we determined, hold on. We need them to also build kind of their own community and their own culture. So there's not going to be a on our residence halls from Clinton students because they have to pay it all upfront. So we've reserved 2 suites, a male suite and a female suite, so a total of 8 students, and they'll be kind of conjoined in similar areas because we want them again to develop their own relationships as well and integrate in. I'm not even convinced we're gonna fill all of those spots, but we'll do our best.
Thank you.
We'll do their best.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Then we will move on to my report. And I really do not have much of anything except that we do have a resolution to name the to change the location of the Edward and Lillian Redcay Hall. So I will read this resolution. Whereas Edward E. Doc Redcay began his career at SUNY Plattsburgh in 1936, retired in 1969, and during his tenure served as Dean of the College, Professor of Psychology, Professor of Education, and as acting president from 1952 to 54. And whereas prior to arriving at the college, Dr. Redcay played a significant role in supporting equity and social justice in education through his work to advance the 1954 U.S. Supreme Court decision in Brown versus Topeka that led to the desegregation of schools. And whereas Dr. Redcay was instrumental in transitioning SUNY Plattsburgh from a normal school focused solely on teacher education to a comprehensive liberal arts institution, and personally endowed a program to recognize excellence in the behavioral sciences, created the honors program, and established the Robert Frost Poetry Award in honor of his longtime friend. And whereas Dr. Redcay was involved in creating the largest system of higher education in the nation through his assistance in the establishment of the SUNY system and his leadership in positioning SUNY Plattsburgh within that system. And whereas the SUNY Board of Trustees approved the naming of the Edward E. and Lillian B. Redcay Hall on June 27, 1984, and the building was permanently dedicated on October 19, 1985, in recognition of the leadership of Dr. Redcay, generous philanthropy provided by Dr. and Mrs. Redcay. Whereas Edward and Lillian Redcay gifted almost $400,000 to the university through gifts during their lifetime and a generous bequest. Whereas the building formerly known as Edward E. and Lillian B. Redcay Hall is now the home of Clinton Community College, it has been renamed as George Moore Hall. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the University Council of the State University of New York College at Plattsburgh officially recommends to the president that Algonquin Hall be permanently renamed as Edward E. Lillian B. Redcay Hall. The renovations to support recruitment and retention of undergraduate students. Does anybody have any questions?
I just remember meeting Dr. Redkay on several occasions. He'd always come out for homecoming weekends because he was a great attraction for a lot of the old alumni at that time. And he kind of reminds me of, or Bill Landry kind of reminds me of the old function that Dr. Redkay used to perform on the campus in his latter years. So I wholeheartedly support this resolution.
So my question is, Algonquin's a dining hall presently?
It's a vacant.
It's vacant. Oh, it's not being used now, and it's being converted to what, Ann?
Kitchen, so it'll be the whole undergraduate admission.
And what's the timeline for that?
Well, we are moving right along, right now with design and architectural drawings and things like that, but we would June of 2020.
I got confused between Algonquin and.
Yeah, for a few seconds, I thought that too.
Part of the reason we're suggesting this at this time be considered is due to the fact of getting questions. We're getting a lot of questions from alumni now that Clinton is in the old Redcay.
Right. Right.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Those of us of a certain age, he was about to retire. When I met him, I worked at the college bookstore, blah, blah, blah. And he hung out there a lot and met students, and he had a great sense of humor. That's why I started to laugh. I mean, his personality, that you moving him, he's, he'd make a joke about maybe go look at the whole campus.
He still has a.
I'm sure his remains are not being moved, but.
Yeah, that's morbid. He does have a home though in Hawkins Center as well.
Yes, yeah.
That's like quite a guy. He's accomplishments. Okay, so I will take a motion to accept the resolution as it was written.
I so moved.
Sid, second. Christina? All in favor? Opposed? We're good. All right, and that's all I had. So we'll move on. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Copy of the final approved resolution, because what I now have to do is submit that to SUNY so they can officially update our AIM system. They ask anytime the name of building is changed, I have to submit that resolution because they won't change it in our actual system until I give them that document. I don't have that for the Moore building. I'm hoping since it's in this resolution, that might solve another problem. I'm gonna try. So,
All right.
if I can get that, I can get that updated at.
Okay. Sharice, did you hear that?
I did not.
Megan is gonna need a copy of its final approved resolution.
Okay.
It's, I guess, doesn't have draft across it.
Right, isn't it? With the motion by and then second. by-
Yes. Okay, and it'll have the motion in the second.
Yeah, like the previous one. Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, then anybody else? Right, so we'll move on to campus governance. Sandra?
Hi, everyone. I just want to report a few things about the most recent University Faculty Senate meeting, which was held online in mid-January. These are always 3-day meetings, lots and lots of conversation, discussions, presentations. So lots of things are going on. And so I just want to highlight a couple of things that stood out to me that, in some cases, the things that were unfamiliar to me. So a lot of it, there's resolutions related to budget and these things, but few things really kind of stood out in some of the presentations. There was a lot of talk and a report, and some of you, because I know Sid has said Sid actually reads what comes out from our faculty senate. So some of you have seen some of the reports that Bridget sent out. But there is in particular a white paper on faculty and staff burnout that if you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to look at it. You can reach out to me or Bridget if you don't have a copy of that white paper. It was something that the ethics committee had started during COVID. Really concerned about faculty and staff burnout, and they started with a survey that was sent out to faculty and staff on all of the campuses. And it continued for a few years, and then they also did interviews and ended up getting information from over 1,000 faculty and staff. And it was like half faculty, half staff. Well, in the end, that really goes into great detail about just the level of burnout that so many faculty staff are experiencing, partly from COVID, but partly from the financial strains, from also things that we've been dealing with. And there's lots of recommendations in the report on things that campuses can try to do to eliminate some of the issues. I also know that the chancellor has been putting together a working group to also look at the issue. So I'm happy to see that it is getting a fair amount of attention, the white paper and just the concerns. It's something that I know faculty is talking about for years amongst themselves about just how challenging it is sometimes and how much work there is and how, in coming out of COVID, a lot of the issues. So I'm just very glad to see that this report is getting some attention, and is that I hope that all of you who haven't seen it that reach out to one of us. We're happy to send you a copy, or there's like a 4 or 5 page executive summary and then the longer report. So I'm happy to provide you that if anyone is interested. A couple other things I will mention. One of the reports that I always find kind of interesting when we hear comparisons to things on other campuses. And so one of the reports that stood out to me was some comparisons of the increases and decreases in enrollment across the various campuses. And so we saw some numbers on the changes in headcount in the enrollment from fall 24 to fall 25, looking at all the state ops and all of the community colleges. And the community colleges had bigger percent increases and also more campuses that's increases. So if I counted them correctly, at the community colleges, there were 26 that had increases in their enrollments from that 1 year period, 2 that stayed the same, and only 4 that decreased. The biggest increase among the community colleges was a 41.8% increase. That was North Country Community College, which I think is a tiny college, which means it doesn't take too many extra students to get that sort of an increase. I mean, because that just sounds huge. But yeah, keeping in mind, it's a very small campus, so not a surprise that you could see that sort of.
Had really bad years the year.
Yeah, so yeah, we have to, take the percent increase with a grain of salt. But the fact that the numbers, that 26 of them, the vast majority saw increases. And given some of the things with, community college free tuition, things like that, it's not a surprise, but I think it's something we need to be aware of, that we are seeing, those increases on that side. On the state op side, it was still, the majority did see increases. So 18 of the state operated campuses saw increases and 13 saw decreases. The biggest increase was at Maritime of 9.8%, which again, Maritime is one of those tiny ones. So when you see a bigger percent increase, not a surprise. And fortunately, we were on the positive side of that, not by a huge amount, but we were on the positive side, so that's always good. But to me, I appreciate when I can see that from SUNY system, those sorts of comparisons. I get a sense of how we're doing compared to other campuses, what's happening with community colleges. And what else? The one other thing that it's something I had never considered, that I hadn't been aware of, but one of the resolutions that came through had to do with displaying flags of Indigenous nations. And I hadn't realized that the SUNY has a policy about which flags can be displayed on this flag. And it was clear from some of the conversations that different campuses are interpreting this differently, but SUNY specifically says that there are only a handful of flags that can be displayed on campuses in conjunction with the US flag. And so it's flags like New York State flag, United Nations flag, Red Cross flag. So just a few flags that can be displayed. And there were campuses that wanted to display flags for the local Indigenous nations, and were not able to. I know some campuses, they're actually like displaying them at different places on campus. But again, on some campuses, it seemed that they were interpreting that to mean display the flags anywhere on campus, when it's actually just, it can't be like on the same flagpole or in conjunction. But it seemed like there was a lot of confusion about that. But so this resolution is still asking the SUNY Board of Trustees to change the policy. That, that don't believe there's any reason why, if there's other flags that can be displayed in conjunction with, or, near the US flag, why can't Indigenous nations flags be displayed? If, if a Red Cross flag can be displayed there, why can't local Indigenous nation flag be displayed? So it's opening up a conversation, hopefully, about these flags. And again, like I said, some campuses, it seems like we're interpreting as you can't have those flags anywhere on campus. So I was glad to see that there's some conversation about it, and I will be curious to see what the Board of Trustees does with the resolution.
Well, what is it? You just can't put flag of another country on the same flagpole, other than if you're on a ship. That's a long story, but right. So the other flags, the flags that we have,
that's why they're over in the college, in the
So-
college union, I believe. But so I think it's saying like conjunction with, so you can't even have another flagpole nearby.
Right.
But again, there's lots of confusion about what that means. It can't be on the same flagpole. It can't be nearby.
But and also we're misaligned right now with New York State policy,
Yeah.
which does allow for the flying of Indigenous flags near and around the same flagpole.
Yeah.
But SUNY policy prohibits it. So that was, I think,
Yeah, that's
their main points of the resolution.
because the state allows it, but SUNY doesn't.
I immediately thought about, the ballroom.
Well,
No, but see,
I love
that's
it.
fine because it's not in conjunction, but again, on some campuses, there's a lot of confusion about it.
Versus flag.
And it's like very conservative interpretation of the SUNY policy.
The minutia.
no, actually, this was deja vu for Juneteenth flag. So if you know that we do fly the Juneteenth flag every year. And that in itself was a bit of a exercise in navigating the eye of the needle. Because it turns out we have two flagpoles on our campus. In front of Kehoe, one in front of Hawkins. So for the purists in the community, they believe the one in front of Hawkins is the official flagpole. As they say, the border au contraire. The flagpole in front of Kehoe is the official university flagpole. The one in front of Hawkins, as long as you follow the order of operations, we have a agreement that we could fly the Juneteenth flag there. We could put the POW MIA flag up there.
Which is actually allowed according to this policy. That's one of the 5 or so that are allowed.
So it's an interesting, yes. So we have thread that needle and we proudly.
We go.
For example, we proudly fly the Juneteenth flag and I only get a few letters every year about happy about.
I would assume most people in this community would think that the flagpole.
Hawkins, right? They think it's Hawkins, but it's actually.
Been out for it. Even before I was born.
So, but yeah, it did require navigation.
It sounds like from the discussion that some campuses are being very conservative of, okay, no, we can't fly these are the flags anywhere.
Yeah.
So this would make it
Yeah.
easier if the trustees would actually look at this and align it
With
with.
directive, absolutely, but other than that, really. You know, it's
Very
flagship.
It wasn't interesting. It's like I had no idea that this was an issue. So
No Canadian.
We have Canadian studies, they don't have a.
They do in front of their building. They have a Quebec flag.
anyway, that was it. So just a few issues that I wanted.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, then we'll move on to Bridget.
So thank you, Sandra. Some of the things I was gonna make sure we touched upon, you did, so appreciate it. I'll be brief. So I know we mentioned when we were together last, we had talked about we were working on an AI policy, which we passed in our December meeting, the use of AI in classes, in courses. So this policy specifically speaks to students' ability to use AI within their coursework. And requires faculty to upfront within their course syllabi and early in the semester to make clear what is their individual policy for allowing or not allowing AI and especially generative AI tools within the classroom space. So it's really about transparency to students, right up front about what is allowed and what is not allowed in the classroom, and tying that if they are, but if they're misrepresenting the authenticity of their work, meaning they're using generative AI and turning it in as their own work, we connected this policy to our academic honesty policy so that if a student is in violation of this use of AI policy, that they would be in violation of our academic honesty policy. So along with the passing of this use of AI in courses, we also updated the course syllabi policy. So it's clear to faculty that they need to include this within their syllabi for each class and be clear exactly what is allowed or not allowed in terms of generative AI use or in general. Because there's lots of different kinds of AI that students can use. We had a very robust discussion around this because there is a lot of different thoughts and feelings and sentiments around AI, and we have a lot to explore as a campus, but we felt this was a good first step to making better transparency for our students, for creating clear guidelines for how to deal with situations where we feel students are in violation of AI policy. And to provide faculty with a mechanism as well to make those determinations not on their own, right? If a student is in violation and they want to argue against it, isn't for the faculty to necessarily have to determine on their own, and they can go to the academic dishonesty tribunal, which is probably not the right word, the council that we have for campus to handle those types of situations. So it gives more support to the faculty. transparency for the student, which I think is helpful all around. We have had discussions in Senate Exec about an AI policy for employees or best practices or community of practice, and we're working on that step as well, because we want to ensure we're holding ourselves to the same standards that we hold our students. We had a successful accessibility day. I know Marcus has this in his report as well, but Senate worked with our new Center for Instructional and Program Innovation director in developing an accessibility day geared at really helping its faculty and staff to get ready for meeting those ADA compliances, which are coming up April 24th, I believe, 2026. We have to have our course material compliant. It was a great day. We had robust discussion, a handful of how-to workshops, and then an afternoon mitigation clinic where folks were able to come in and actually work on getting their material to ADA compliant with experts in the room. So I think that was a great day. I know John Locke, our director of the Innovation and Program Instructional and Program Innovation Institute is also working on some follow-up accessibility workshops for folks. We've talked about maybe doing a repeat mitigation clinic right before the fall semester when people are working on getting their fall course material together. But we heard a lot of great things on that. So yay, successful day, and I think helping folks to move into different workflows so that they can have all of their course material be accessible by students, regardless of whether or not they have a documented disability. We have a successful leadership succession plan in place. Rohit Rampal has been elected as our next faculty senate chair, so he will be replacing me in the fall. This is my last term, so it was time for me to step down, but Rohit will be here in place and very excited. He has been a member of Senate Exec for years, forever, possibly. So we were really excited to see him step into this leadership role. Been a longtime faculty member, chair of departments here in our School of Business and Economics. So he is has a lot of both historical knowledge around the institution, but also our Senate and shared governance processes. So very excited. And I'll be working with him over the remaining of this semester to ensure that we have succession for our other leadership roles. Hopefully most of our exec members, I know at least half of them are ready to stay on for another year. But we usually have some who are stepping into other roles and will be hopefully on members into Senate Exec. I think that's all. I know Marcus is going to highlight some of the academic plan work that we have done, and I shared out with you all a draft specifically of the academic plan that you can review and add feedback on. That is your document only to review, just so you know. No one else on campus will be, aside from Marcus, myself, and the few members of the Common Op group who are helping to bring all of the feedback together and synthesize it for our steering committee to review and determine how it's going to be implemented. But all that, your comments are really just for your group here, the University Council. So know that they aren't going to be shared broadly with the wider community unless you want to use that community feedback form, which is open for folks to be able to see those responses. But please feel free to use that document, share feedback just by email as Christina did, and thank you for that. And are there any questions on engaging with that document is what I wanted to end with. That's all I have. And apologies for having to run the box.
Sorry.
Off to class.
Okay, Michelle is not here, and so Christy is. She's not here. She was going to be here. But you have their reports. Questions you can reach out to them. Moving on to our divisional reports. You all had an opportunity to read the divisional reports. And if you have any questions, I'll give you an opportunity. But I'll ask each of the vice presidents to pick out a few highlights that they might want to touch upon. I'm sorry. Marcus.
So I, to emphasize what Bridget said, this has truly been a team effort between academic affairs, VPs on the steering committee, faculty, members on the steering committee, deans, the admissions personnel, directors of undergraduate and graduate admissions, leading to the academic plan, which is, I believe, highly fiscally grounded. I've got positive feedback from faculty. It includes the evaluation of academic program, first a faculty responsibility and administration responsibility in terms of how we assign resources, which I think is the only way that institutions can actually grow in a healthy manner. So I'm very excited about that. So if you use the Google form, anybody can see your comments in the whole community. If you email Bridget or me, both of us, it's just us. If you use the comment PDF, the Bridget set up is her and the communications working group, which includes Heather and some others, who'll be trying to summarize those. So you have lots of different ways to provide feedback should you wish. And it's been through many iterations. I think this was the 4th major version. So this was a very thoroughly considered compromise prioritization. And of course, other new programs still going on. Waiting for the plan as in the report. Academic momentum is the second thing I wanted to highlight. We did see that on the 5th of February. Team effort. We provost at most of the senior campuses are the leads for academic momentum. Those are the equal importance. It's us. Parents team, parent itself, instrumental in many aspects of student success, which will underlie academic momentum for the degree of time. I'm very optimistic we'll hear positively from SUNY because the sector lead of SUNY Central Administration, I can look at it 2 days before I sent in the official version, and he said, pretty good. And of course, the president had to sign off and approve on it. And then the hard work of implementation with the SUNY blast out campaign. We're planning on doing things like the Pearson and Arts and Sciences work with faculty, math and English to really significantly improve the way instruction aligns with student needs. We're also looking at a role of increasing full-time faculty teaching how with math and English gateways work. A lot of wraparound student support services and trying to extend those also to students who are not in affiliated groups, and many other things in academic momentum. And we should have some more public details on that after SUNY has approved our plan, or at least the other thing we had after I think over 12 years in role of the Associate Vice President of Academic Affairs, Joanne Gleason-Craig retired. Young Yu takes her place. Young is a professor in education who was one of the principal investigators on the Science of Reading grant. So he brings a lot of experience to the role. For those of you who know, you contributed to the institution, academic affairs for a length of the career, previously chair of the nursing department. Just an example of one of our truly dedicated faculty and professional management confidential employees over the years.
Any questions on the academic affairs report?
I only have one, but try to make it short. So it's very dangerous. I've been taking AI classes. Yeah, taking 3 of them. They're 5 weeks long, blah, blah, blah. And I'm hoping that what we're doing, and I'm going to somewhat compare this to what happened in public education when calculators came along. I'm sorry, I'm really dating myself. Okay. Go. AI has an awful lot of scary things about it. We all know that. AI is something that is not coming, it's here. You know that. A lot of people don't. Get a lot of crazy conversations I get into with people who constantly say to me, well, when it gets here, no. And you won't have to suffer too long, right, for Javi and I, but my grandchildren are working in the workforce. They're not at college and in college. And they are using those. They're tools. A couple of them that are still in college, they're now required to be able to know how to use various platforms. And you know them all. Go over them all. So I'm just hoping that what even happened here is like what happened in the public schools with the calculators. At first, they want kids to touch them. And then it wasn't very long before we realized that's ridiculous. They need to know the basics. They need to know the basics, English, arithmetic, math basics. But after that, they need to know to use these because these people, the wonderful people that we're educating, are going to be immersed in it. If they don't know it. So are we doing anything to help maybe juniors, seniors? Yeah, so a knowledge of what they're about to step into because it's.
Yes, absolutely. So the last, and it truly excellent points. So the last 18 months that went behind the AI policy on the syllabus, which looks like faculty get forbidden. There were actually many of these conversations. And leadership, myself, many of the faculty leaders as well, strongly encouraged faculty to be incorporating AI tools, not to have the hands-off forbidden approach.
Just want to hear those
Many
words.
of them are incorporating them in their actual courses and assignments. We're a little bit cautious about coming up with programs because we don't have the resources of,
Oh, yeah, I think George Mason is the only university that has one.
But one of the issues is, which is, in your role as university council members, I think you are appropriate for youth lobby, I can't. If we get the pro version for all of our students, the enterprise level, that set of tools, it would be $1.392 million, $302,000 a year. And that's just for one of them. The models which do coding.
What about Gemini? No.
Yeah, it's different. So often we're using the free version, but the free version also has a fewer protections for the privacy protected information. So it's really beyond the capacity of to afford the best quality tools, because unlike a calculator you buy once, these companies charge for the pro version every month. And that is something which some state systems have decided to purchase Cal State. Why? SUNY has not done. And so, I'm not able to go and lobby to the chancellor's office, but we do point out through our channels that this is an access and equity issue. University centers, they have the resources to actually get programs for their campuses. And of course, this is high in New York. And the state has limited resources. But this is, I think, I don't see of a way to be able to address that and to integrate tools throughout the entire curriculum. So that students have different levels of access. It's complicated.
Yeah, a lot of these billionaires by far are trying to get a little bit of a conscience, and they are working with education, but it seems to be one of the big cities at the moment. I need to see who knows, but I just have to say that we went from oh my gosh, we don't want kids if they're not learning their arithmetic multiplication to it is part of the education on many regions. So now they have to know how to use it.
Just gonna speak to the AI as an field someone. The reason why people say that is because the development from the corporation world was with the it's not complete yet, so that's why tech is taking such a big right now.
Well, I agree. I have a no, he's a secondary grandson, I'm gonna put it, but anyway, he's working in finance and they literally had to take a course and pass a course in yes, I mean, he's using it.
The basic AI is here. What they're looking for is transformative. So that when people are saying it's not here yet, that's what they're confused with. So just to.
What our students need to know is here.
And we're also looking at AI enhanced tools for student success. In terms of predicting of continuing their academic program in terms of advising, in terms of mapping their schedules. Those are things which can also nothing extra, but where I'm trying to use a return on investment model where we look at how much income we would have, whether the additional tuition would pay for the additional cost of that product. I think that is something which but then I have to present to me. But I think is probably the best way to look.
It's a tool.
Resources.
Thank you. Sorry, but
No, thank you.
everybody's time, but it's
They gotta go over there looking, I'm going at something.
And that number was to supply students.
Yeah.
It'll be 1.1 million just for our full student account basis.
But it seemed, yeah, what you were just referring to, which always.
And
Spend some time there.
$10 billion. That's how much infrastructure to still do. Every little mouth has got a little.
Oh, I know it, but the free stuff.
I'm going to see, you know, if we end up sales and what that's the you know, teachers are really going to need a lot of support because there's going to be a lot more AI is just one look at science of teaching reading, you know, and public schools, we know all teachers are teachers of reading, but that's sort of an, you know, seems like it's going to be a new concept for university professors. And you know, multidisciplinary courses, different instructional modalities, and you know, online, and it's going to have to be less knowing. It's going to require a lot of flexibility on.
Exciting is the word.
Yeah. Any other questions for Marcus?
Heidi, just a real quick question. Marcus, is this going to take on the same kind of a controversial with like we did years ago on the database, you know, the journals and everything, the licensure issues? Is this a similar kind of challenge?
I think from a fiscal perspective, yes, because we're still trying to wrestle with a small number of corporations that now run all of the databases and kind of a monopoly. And they raise prices at 8% a year for our journal databases. And then also in terms of the access to information, you know, there's all kinds of legal things that are kind of a complete unknown that are beyond my area of expertise. I can't comment on, but I do know, you know, there's much more to come on act and regulation of the SUNY even has a draft policy of where and system-wide AI policy, which so you know we'll be hearing a lot more about this in the coming months.
Thank you.
Going back to the thank you very much, by the way. Just from what I was reading, but interesting. Just wondering then with all the changes that might be coming, are the departments all on board or are you finding pushback anywhere? Right, I'm always supposed to have this clear what's going to be good for my team. Are they going to be what I think is my plan?
You mean on the AI or on the academic plan?
Just on the academic plan. It's not AI.
I think highly variable depending on the department. So some departments are already very mindful of revenue, resources, school business and economics, also what, interestingly, also. And they embrace it. A lot of the chairs are forward thinking and embrace it. But I'm expecting we'll get some resistance. Particularly, I deliberately left in a potentially triggering word, the activation. We have to think of programs. And over 14 programs have been deactivated in the last few years. 12 of them at the behest of faculty. But there'll be some departments and individual faculty who make quite a bit of noise because it can be very threatening. I can't the last 20, 30 years. I would also feel, though, my philosophy is that some things we will need to continue and we'll need to support. And so we'll need some other areas that actually generate excess tuition, basically, in order to be able to support some core areas.
Yeah.
So I think largely will be embraced, but which departments though will actively use it and then move forward will to some extent be up to faculty. The faculty usually control the curriculum. As administrators, if we wanted to create an entirely new curriculum, we would have to hire a whole bunch of faculty to do that, and the resources make that very challenging. So we kind of have to cajole the faculty in areas where we feel there's the biggest opportunity for admissions and enrollment, and accept that we might have 12 growth areas, but the alignment between being able to bring the faculty along and the growth areas might be more good for them. And so it's sort of and that will be not only good enough, that will actually be good for us. We're looking and focusing on the areas that very good. And if there were an area, where we could just carte blanche hire a whole new department, I would be very hesitant to even recommend that because that's a big unknown. You want to have areas that align with your existing strengths to build. And we think enough of our faculty will be dynamic and grow that the institution will have actually a really strong trajectory. Separate from the other things that are already great. Solidization, the fact that we have fiscal stability thanks to President and you. And we have room for stronger campuses in the comprehensive sector. Physical areas, very attractive. Institutions in the sector. SUNY itself is attractive compared to other states and by DEI and protecting academic freedom, which of the country now. We're getting an astonishing number of applicants for tenure track opening. Emphasize cultural diversity of the country. We didn't teach that anymore. It's quite astonishing. I'm exaggerating a little bit. Texas,
It's astonishing.
Michigan, Ohio, quite a few states with fine public universities where faculty and I think students would not want to go. Texas.
Thank you. We'll go on to institutional advancement. And anything you want to highlight in particular?
Just a couple quick points. I wanted to give a little additional context for our Game on Forgiving thing that we just finished, because it really is one of the, I think, strongest partnerships that we have with Karen's area. The athletics staff, really team, they're really the outreach during games. The coaches are all engaged. And there's, we've been doing this for 10 years, and it's really since Karen's leadership that the program really has been able to blossom. So both from the challenge that her family provides as a challenge gift for them, but also the way in which she kind of tells the athletes, this is something we're doing. We're all doing it. You are doing that. And so we've seen like growing engagement of athletic coaches every year. So I want to highlight that. And the kind of the four people who really push it through in my area, Paula Bachman and Aubrey Brissett, Karen's area, herself, and 5 people, Mike Howard and Martin Sapol. So they're the pushers. And over 150,000 this year, so a big increase. 1,602. That's not big numbers. And because we've had that McGrath Family Challenge every year, we've had 2 alumni reach out and say, I want to do a challenge too. So we've had a nice $15,000 challenge from Peter, and a $10,000 challenge from Carrie Stevens. So just great energy there. And the men's lacrosse team won the challenge. We were followed very closely by men's soccer. The women's hockey got the bronze. These are the Olympic awards. And men's soccer also, I think the overall winner. And then on the other thing that I really love about this thing has evolved is the way in which, now we're including, and this was Karen's recommendation, including general recreational sports. So it's not just the varsity athletic teams that are benefiting from being on. There's so much momentum there. It's really nice that rec sports, club sports, the fitness center, also have the opportunity to benefit from the campaigns. That's been a big plus, and no surprise, men's rugby, they won the first two classes. They came. Very fun with that, and it's nice to see the results of that. Lines up well with the thrive. The other thing I wanted to highlight is Career Edge. So that week that the VP candidates are coming to campus is going to be a very busy week. So we're culminating that week today with Career Edge activity, which Christine has been a part of. So this program is very special. What it's all about is matching a successful alumni who, you know, while they were students, seek support from EO student support services. We're trying to do is really bring some alumni coaches to campus that can really provide useful guidance, useful support, encouragement to students that are first-gen students that are in underrepresented communities and that are currently getting support from DOE and ACE. Those are our two student target groups. What's so cool about it are the coaches. So I mentioned Christine. It's a career coach panelist. Event on Friday evening. Pamela Hewitt, class of 74, she's the benefactor who funds this program. It's a pretty big deal. We're hoping to get 75 to 100 students involved for the dinner. So, you know, it does add up. It served at the highest level you can serve in human resources. Featured national brands like Oats, Clorox, Nestle, a bunch of other companies. She's very much retired now. She did consulting for a long period of time, but this is her passion project. Career Edge, supporting students. She was Neil. Andre Robinson is also going to serve as a coach. He's a Boston MBA. He's a nurse practitioner in that Columbia University right down in Anthony Volumes is the president. Brad class of 08. He's a principal. He's also a Hall of Famer. So, you know, we try to get a real mixed group that will interest different sorts of students. It's kind of ironic we have two basketball players in the mix. But and Christina rounds it out so beautifully with her focus in finance and also managing business.
I don't sound nearly as cool as the others, by the way.
I think that you're all very cool. I think you all have something. It's all about kind of the diversity of experience perspective that people students. But all the coaches are going to have like a half-day program of activities while we're closed is the banquet with. So we're super excited. There's two other people we're talking to that we hope. One is a entrepreneur, very successful businessman, and is also a local alumna who is a counselor, because that'll kind of round out the. Then on the fundraising front, just to share, it was in the report, but we did have a phenomenal flows. So for the first 6 months of the fiscal year, just half a year, it's millions, and you've got some commitments from. When we compare that to how we did the 5 years prior, 5 years prior, we averaged about 2.1. So a 4.8 close as of December is pretty awesome. And it's all because of our benefactors. You know, they're the ones that make that success possible. And the team in IA that really, everything from answering the phone to making sure the mail goes out and asks for the gift to supporting stewardship activities. It all wraps to how we're able to. So they're the ones that really enable our benefactors to achieve philanthropic goals. There's more news to come soon. I can't say anything about it, but the North Country Impact Awards. I know that 2 finalists have been selected for Waiting on the School Economics, and then I think there'll be an announcement. So that special event, the North Country celebration is, I think it's April 30th. So something mark on your calendar. Thank you for the awards. Any questions?
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Anne? Congratulations on the 4 point.
Yeah, I hope we can keep it going.
You know. Okay, so next we're gonna move from another. This job has really become something. I mean, it's like, boy.
Stop shop of fun.
So, what would you like to highlight?
I'll just add a few quick things. I think the most exciting piece is that we are getting closer to the end of our marketing director search. So we have an on-campus interview this week. And that'll be a great role, I think, to really build a strategy and lead the marketing team directly on the day-to-day. Because as all of these things happen, in each division, like this has to be marketed and communicated in ways that are strategic and integrated and, you know, sort of proactive, but also reactive. So really having someone with that expertise. So fingers crossed that this candidate is improved more. And if not, we had a great search committee and they've assured me that to go out and try again. So I think good things to come though. And I think, you know, the other piece, just as you said, it's kind of like what's needed today and kind of where are we with each piece. And I think the unique and great part of what I did was I get to interface with each division and each vice president. Where are we and what are the needs today? And I've been doing this semester too, and last semester and this semester, a lot more internal marketing to sort of help faculty, staff, like these are the values of your program. You know, sometimes you'll ask a faculty member, like, what are the values of your program and what you do? And they don't really know because they do it every day and they don't see that value. Listen with with someone day to day, and they're just so dedicated to it. You don't always hear from them, so you can market the program. Sometimes you have to go in story, but it's there.
Any questions? Just a comment. I've noticed of late that I'm seeing many more articles about SUNY Plattsburgh and the Glens Falls Post-Star, and we never, you know, it's like a different country, you know. So yeah, there's quite a bit in the paper, in that local paper.
I met a few people at a conference, so I don't know. Like, what do we have to do, you know? And we've got better, I think, SUNY connections too now to just sort of like funnel stuff in any way that we can to get it picked up. So it's good to know that you're seeing it.
It's good. I'd like to see that. Okay, thank you. Now, let's see. Dr. Friesen, are you there? Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. What would you like to highlight in your report?
First of all, I'm sorry I'm not able to be there in person today, but we've been quite active during this semester. The president has spoke to the search that's going on for this position, so I won't speak to that. First thing, the Title IX office, we've made some progress in terms of trying to increase the capacity of the Title IX office that is also now the Title VI office. So in December of 2025, we launched a search for a Deputy Title IX, Deputy Title VI coordinator, which is a professional position. Search is still underway and with an anticipated hire of spring of 2026. We currently have 3 undergraduate students who are working with the Title IX, Title VI coordinator on a peer-led prevention initiative. And we continue to grow that office, and that office is really has a large context within the institution in terms of doing tabling. There is a new aspirational masculinity working group that is hosting screenings and discussions of things such as the Gong Guys. And so the Title IX and Title VI office continues to grow, to continue to have quite an impact on campus. Additionally, our affirmative action and special project office, one of the successful things that this particular office has been engaged in is the Equity Advocate Program. And for this February session, we had 23 participants. And the equity advocates are those that are trained to be on search committees and other opportunities where they can advocate really for DEI principles in whatever they are asked to be a part of. One of the things that we're doing in terms of our recruitment and retention of diverse students and employees is that we're putting together a local alternative to the spring break for this March. And we're providing students who were not able or decided to stay on campus with activities to build connections during that spring break area. Our area of multicultural initiatives, we have found, even with the transition, that we had increased utilization of the hub space. And we feel like this is a very positive revelation that the utilization has increased steadily throughout the fall. And to my mind, that indicates that the students are increasingly viewing the hub as a safe, inclusive, and affirming environment. We have been working, of course, February is Black History Month. We continue to do ongoing Cultural and Heritage Month programming. We are expanding our cross-campus collaboration. We have been working particularly with the Clinton Community College. Our coordinator of multicultural initiatives is working with Clinton Community College, doing things such as the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Our TRHT Center sponsored a National Day of Racial Healing. We had about 60 people who were there through all day. In addition, we had 81 people who were participated by Zoom. And finally, our attendance numbers in terms of some of the programming was down this year. We think it was because of some of the transition, and but we believe that we got off to a good start in February. The president mentioned the fact that we had Reverend Ronald English on our campus. Reverend Ronald English was the associate pastor to Martin Luther King Jr. at Ebenezer Baptist Church, and it's interesting that while he was here, right after he left, we lost Reverend Jesse Jackson passed, which means that there are only a couple of the people who work directly with Martin Luther King that are still alive. Ronald English is one of them. Andrew Young, of course, is the other. We continue to do as much as we can in terms of cross collaborations around campus. If any of you have any specific questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Anybody have any questions? Yeah. Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to Karen, enrollment. Any highlights?
So there's things to highlight, but so many things have been said, so I'll keep it very brief. So we are waiting for our final official census. But the preliminary look is that we will be up spring over spring. So that's wonderful. But a piece of that we have to be cognizant of is we did meet the new student targets for both undergraduate and graduate. but we really have to be cognizant of the mix. We've been talking about that a lot more with the University Council, but 92% of the new undergraduates are exclusively online. And about 85% of the graduate students, almost all of our new students. And it's good for the end number at the front end, but it does have impact on tuition and broad-based fees. But also what we call our separation rates. So our degree completion people are here usually no more than 4 semesters. And so they're in, so it's great. At the front end, they raise the numbers for the spring, but 4 semesters out, we're gonna have a quick decline of those students. So we don't get that cascading 4-year revenue. So every head count matters, but I bring that up because we're in budget development and we have to really be aware of that. 5 years ago, 1 in 10 students were online students. Now it's 1 in 4. That's in exclusively online. So that does start changing a lot of conversations we have to have around the table. And then not just about budget, but also about student services. What an online student needs different from a brick and mortar. So lots as we were talking about academic momentum and the academic planning, we need to take a different institutional view than we did even 5 years ago. So it's really easy for people just to say, to really always be focused on banking. So we really can't be in. Bringing that up. Fall funnels look strong. We're doing well. We're up in all categories for graduate and undergraduate. The fight is on though. Let's be honest, it's going to be an ugly year. Nursing is a concern of mine, not because we don't have ample students in the pool, but Albany started a program. And they're accepting many students, but not directly into nursing. See, Rockport did. They have this program where they're inviting all of these people in who are saying, I'm in nursing. But even at Rockport, after 1 year, they have to apply to continue. So, we're very upfront that this is a direct admissions program. But if you think about where Albany sits, it's in one of our primary markets. So with Capital District and Mid-Hudson. We're 3 deposits up in nursing over this time last year, but I had Troy do a deep dive into the regionality of our acceptances. And so we want to be cognizant, North Country students nursing differently on Island. So the majority or a bigger portion of our acceptances in nursing right now are from downstate students. So we're trying to figure out how are we going to manage all of that. So, and many number of versus 75, that had been our goal the last couple of years, and we had an explosion to 100. So, that will have a negative impact as we create the fall funnel, but we're working it all through, but that is a challenge for us. And again, it's nothing, we can't control what other SUNY programs are offering. But also Buff State is starting a Bachelor of Social Work online program and a graduate program in social work. So it's going to take them a couple of years to get going and get everything proved and off and running, but the competition is coming fast and furiously, even in programs that have such, great momentum with. Momentum can come and momentum can go. So we are really working very closely with admin and finance and academic affairs and marketing to make sure we're securing our positions. And Anne already alluded to the Game On for Giving, but just so you know, all of our winter sports playoffs. So we're going for women's basketball and they made it in and they're hosting tomorrow. So lots is going on there. When Anne and the president had mentioned Cardinals Thrive, and that is just the foundation of the programming that we're doing in ESS. And last fall, there were over 12 to some aspect of the Cardinal Thrive wheel. And that's really important because we're saying to everybody, you have to make intentional choices about where to spend your financial resources to support students. So we're very excited about that. So I'll just leave it at that. If there's questions about my written report.
On the online issue, how do we, 2 questions, online issue, how do we stand vis-a-vis other schools? And is there anything we can do to mitigate it?
Well, that is the growth market. One of the largest growing markets in the state of New York are for adults who have some credits and haven't finished. And that's the beauty of the online degree completion. So I would say I don't want to turn that spigot off. I think that in working with the academic plan, we're looking at what would be the new programs that would help us generate new enrollments for main campus programs. So we don't want to take our foot off the gas of the end numbers and the revenue for online programs. But we have to be clear, that's where so much of the market is, and it's going to continue.
What about the first question? How are we doing online vis-a-vis, say, Albany?
I don't think we can compare ourselves to any of the university centers, but we are seeing growth. The other institutions and comprehensives are investing in online programs, and they're following what we're doing. That's how Buff State is doing their online and BSW program, and your school started the online accounting completion after we had success with it. So people are looking at what we're doing and then they're replicating it.
One of the questions, say, how would we do online students, say, vis-a-vis NCO?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to look up the number.
And I can say, Geneseo's portfolio is very much the traditional liberal arts residential. And it's one of the reasons why they're struggling financially, because then they don't have a diversified portfolio. I see our academic programs as being a diversified portfolio, and it's like with a retirement account or an investment account, you want assets in different classes. So we want academic program portfolio across market areas. That's also a hedge if the market changes. I think nationally, something like 70% of fully online students attend an institution within driving distance because they want to have the option of coming in. And we're a little bit of a disadvantage there because we're in a low population density area. With adult completion, though, where there is growth in the North Country, and we do need that, the vision to recruit for marketing, because we'll probably have to up marketing. I don't usually watch sports, but I wanted to see the Super Bowl commercials. And SUNY Empire advertised on the Super Bowl, obviously not nationally. They geo-fenced it for New York State, but it's also our competition. And so it's a tough game out there, like you said.
Is the online, say, phenomenon, is it just something like, it's not reversible, I assume? I mean, is it just say this is the way it is?
This is the going way, and
What it is. It's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, and you've always got the tradition, especially the traditional age 18-year-old student. I once heard the president of Southern New Hampshire, one of the huge online players, who took it from a tiny little college to one of the largest in the world. And he said, there'll always be some students who want to do 4 years, but there'll be other students who might want to do 2 years and then finish online. Because they want the social experience of college, but not for the full 4 years anymore. And so I think, we have to be really creative, also thinking about even the traditional age student population that might have shifted. We see a lot of our students choose to live off campus, but around the country, they're starting to say, well, I'll do 2 years for some of the social events and experiences, and then I'll finish online, or I'll get a part-time job those hours.
school part-time.
Anna, you got a question?
Online students, even 4 semesters of courses, do they come with a lot of credits?
Yeah, those that are going into the degree completion, most of them have already secured their full associate's degree and completed all their general education. So they're really focusing in on courses related to the program.
How many credits do they have to get? But
the number of credits that have to be earned at Plattsburgh to get a Plattsburgh degree.
So residency is around 30 the final year, but a lot of the students will do more. Like Karen said, the full 60.
They can do less than we accept, I think we accept up to 87 or something like that to complete. And it's much like the RN to BS, that's the completion program equivalent. And since you have a lot of experience with that.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Karen, just a real quick question. Is the Zimfer Open SUNY program still alive, or is that fallen off the table?
I don't know what that is, so I'm guessing it's not, but Yes, I know.
I think Empire is.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Is there a full online teaching program? Is that not online yet? Not undergraduate? Is that something that's being explored?
It was a suggestion that came up through the academic process, so it's on the list.
Is anybody else doing?
Oh, yes.
Oh, they are.
Yes. Yeah, there are others that have online bachelor of science.
Without a lab, not without what we used to call student.
I don't know their curriculum.
I thought in order to get licensed, you had to have some.
So they usually do didactic online, the classroom instruction, and then they have an in-person experience.
And that's what I was thinking, yeah.
I really hope
Yeah.
that. In-person instruction.
Good road.
That could be a shock when you walked into the classroom.
Thank you.
Not listening.
Thank you, Karen.
Students are online.
Last but not least, administration and finance.
Finance is very busy right now, so our Director of Budget and Financial Reporting is meeting with every single account manager on SUNY. Go over their budgets, so they're on track a little bit, we get back on track, if they have questions, it's just a designated opportunity to ask those questions. The form of education that we use to maybe, help. We identify that helps you to get to where they be. And then it's also a gate for budget development. So our budget development season will be starting very soon, so it's kind of gearing each account manager up for that season. Kind of speaking, well, just says some context, there's 13 comprehensive classes with the SUNY system. SUNY Empire is very financially stable, they're at the top of the list, and SUNY Geneseo is very financially stable, and they are on the naughty list. So just to provide some context discussion. So in addition to that, Karen alluded to our student mix. So that, you know, Karen lives in head counts. I live in revenue. So what does that mean for our revenue? So our billed tuition revenue fell short of our budget by about $530,000 this year to date. However, our billed room rent revenues, our students living in our dorms, exceeded our budget by $1,000. And our broad-based fees, so those are the athletic, the technology, career, health, and recreation, those exceeded their budgets by $200,000 collectively. So that's very impactful to those particular programs. So again, we're net positive there. So but it's just a switch in some of those mixes. Moving on to capital planning and construction, that team is very, very busy. As you can see in my report, there's several pages of projects that are going on. Two of our very large projects that are being managed by the SUNY Construction Fund in conjunction with my team are the admissions center and the demolition of banks in Adirondack. So I did a check-in with our SUNY representative on these projects 2 weeks ago to just see how's it going, get his thoughts on that. How are we doing? What do they need from us? What do we need from them? And how's the consultant or the design firm doing? So overall, that meeting went really well. We are on track. The design firm, our SUNY person's going to keep pushing them to kind of stay on task. Meetings was the biggest takeaway with that. But now we've gotten marketing involved to really put our stamp as a university on this design. So the consultant basically had placeholder areas, and now it's our opportunity to really make it our own. So that was the biggest feedback on that. But these two projects are going to happen at the same time with spring 28 completion. That's very exciting that we can get those two things accomplished at the same time. So those are big projects for our campus. As you can see, there's many other projects going on within our campus, but some exciting things that we're trying to balance infrastructure and meeting those needs, as well as things that everybody can see that are more feel good than I replace some heating pipes. But we do need to replace our heating pipes. So if you are doing any advocacy at the state level or anywhere, as President Ndiaye alluded to, there's a lot of deferred maintenance needs within the system, our campus in particular. So any advocacy that you can do to get those critical maintenance dollars appreciated on our campus in particular. So we do have some things where high temp hot water, we will be beginning construction on a study. We did a study, we're going to address some of those priorities this summer, so we will be doing that. But then we were also putting in a turf field at our baseball field too. So there, we're trying to toggle between those things as well as many other things. So you know, we don't always make everybody happy, but we try. As well as our facilities team is actively working on the maintenance. We are taking a very strong concerted effort in keeping up our preventive maintenance processes, because we do have some older infrastructure and things. So we are doing a lot of that work now and trying to get ahead of things breaking, and we have experienced that. So we've had breaks, but they weren't as bad because we are doing some more of this preventative maintenance work. So we are experiencing some of those things, which I'm very happy about that. So one big task that we are handling that is impacting all of campus is we are doing our campus internal audit. So that's basically having the entire campus review our policies. 8 work they are to date. So as you can imagine, there's been some policies on this campus that maybe haven't been reviewed in a while. So the auditor and me is very excited about this. The stakeholders, not so much, but we're getting it all done. So it's been a very collaborative effort and very fruitful. So the highlights from my report.
Yeah, any questions?
One on the, you said the residential was up 700,000.
Yeah.
Was that a bad estimate? Or bad estimate? Was this just terrific growth or unexpected? How do you account for it?
So we had over many years experienced a downward trend in our on-campus students. So there's an enrollment health committee that puts in many factors to come up with that. So we really got a solid number for our occupancies. So I wouldn't call it a bad number. We just had more students that we anticipated. Why is that? Karen's team has done a lot of work revamping the outreach to get students on this campus that we haven't historically done, or we haven't done it to that degree. So we are actually now experiencing.
This is done as a result of good work.
Good work. This is a positive.
Yeah, right.
This is something that is very exciting.
The other part of that is we wanted to capitalize on empty beds. So we put aside 250 doubles and sold them as singles. And that gave us a big, students are willing to pay for it, and rather than have students, oh, if we have empty room, I'll just, oh, there's nobody moving in.
It's just a great strategy that, you know, you can do things.
Letting them declare it up front and then pay for it and pay for it.
Yeah.
There's times when they weren't charging them, and I'm like, no way, that's not gonna happen.
Karen's team's on that. So that is
It's the combination, I think, of the two things.
Right. Anything else?
Heidi, just for point of information, I think tomorrow is the legislative hearing on the higher ed budgets. So I believe they're all simulcast if anybody's interested in viewing to see how our legislators feel about the chancellor's budget proposal. That I think that takes place at 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
And SUNY Plattsburgh did make the 1-2 pager for advocacy and for capital planning. It's not a bad thing that our high temp hot water photo is famous on this. Because that means we are on SUNY's radar if they are successful in getting additional dollars from New York State, that we are one of the first campuses in line to get some of those extra dollars.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of the divisional reports. Charlotte can't be with us today, so we'll skip ahead to public comment. Any public comment? Okay, our next meeting is in Queensbury, neck of the woods, on April 13th. The president down there, SUNY Adirondack, so we'll be able to have lunch with her and get a tour. After we adjourn, Denise and Janet and Jessica, just Denise.
Janet had some car trouble.
So, okay. Are gonna do a presentation on university assisted community schools. And then we're gonna reconvene over in Kehoe for an overview of the data center tour. That I will take a motion to adjourn. Sid, second, Jim, all in favor?
Hi,
Thanks, everybody.
thank you.
Well, that's great. The handouts, if we'll just take one. We're gonna pull up the pen brush and find out what happens.
Oh, the other thing I was supposed to, Sharice wanted me to let you know that if you do not have one of these, Association of Council Members and College Trustees, also known as ACT, little handbooks, they are here if you would like.
I think
We got them not too long ago, I think. I had asked for them, so I think we're good.
Thank you so much for your time today, everyone. I will be doing two things. I'm going to give us a little bit of a background.
This is
Sorry.
Dr. Jessica Benson.
Eager Beaver.
And I'm Denise Simone.
So going to give us a little bit of background on what our universities are, and a little bit of a breakdown of what we've done so far in 3 or 4 semesters. So yes, I'm Dr. Jessica Benton, and I am an assistant professor of education. I was brought on board to teach special ed classes, and so got into this work very interestingly enough. So community schools really line up with our mission statement, and I'm going to come back to this a little bit later and hopefully make that connection. We are in the business of creating dynamic learning environments so that our folks that are coming out of our school are able to do, the type of professional caregiving and then things that they need to do. So community schools really fits into this. And I will come back to this. I wanted to keep this example.
No, yeah, no, and this actually aligns very beautifully with the work that we do at EHHS because we call ourselves. So those who are the art thinking difference by being with the business. So this aligns very much with our thinking at EHHS. And it really fits on the being all saying, hey, come together and let's learn more about this thing called university assisted community schools. I was quite not myopic in what I thought university assisted community schools would be when we loaded up the vehicle and took a road trip to Binghamton. We threw in a couple education faculty members and myself, and we drove off thinking, hey, we're going to learn about how to make an impact in schools from the education lens. Got there, and the lens was social work. So I learned a huge lesson. I should be more open to what I might be walking into. So one of the things that Binghamton was using university assisted community schools was to help their social work program. And so we sat around the table, and because we are who we are in EHHS, we saw the intersections immediately of the work. And we put together an 11-person team to launch in the fall of university assisted community schools. And you're going to see a picture of that team. But it was really imperative to us that when we started this, we were all around the table together, that we were addressing this. So one of the first things we learned from Jess, and I'll let her go back to her story, but we needed to identify a district. So before we went to the national conference at UPenn in November, we needed to find a partner, a potential partner. So we invited the administrator from Beacontown School District to come with us. And we foot the bill for that because we wanted the decision to pursue a university assisted community school to be mutual. We didn't want us to be selling something, because what we learned on that June conference was that while we thought we were in relation with our partners, we really weren't. It was transaction. So what we really needed to learn is how do we sit around the table and transform the work that we're doing and the potential that we have together? And how do we make the P12 divide become less fun? So we have been doing that work now consistently. Just serendipitously had been doing this work in North Carolina. And so we learned this amazing thing in June, and in August, here was Jess to help facilitate what was next. Along with Janet, who, like I said, couldn't be here because social work is also now part of our UX.
So community schools are not a program. They are your typical average public schools with an overarching local engagement strategy. And so we like to think of it in this way. We know that the things that happen in our society are going to filter down and come into our schools. And so community schools are a way to be proactive about that. We're going to get students that have social emotional needs. We're going to get students that may not or may have more to give than they're showing. So why don't we step into this moment and engage that? So community schools are not going to be a very particular structure. They're going to be open. You want them to be able to be reflective of the communities that they serve. Different iterations of community school models have different colors, but for our purposes, we usually use the 4. Now, most community schools are known for their integrated supports. So wraparound services is what most folks know when they think of community schools, which is a very integral part of it, right? And we'll talk a little bit about how we figure out what those services are here in a second. But it's also about expanding and enriching the learning environment. What are we doing in public schools before and after school? Or is there certain programming that can help there? With collaborative leadership, we saw this a lot in North Carolina because of we have different power structures in different parts of the United States. But how do we bring in parents and help make decisions, in leadership teams about what we're doing, and not just have parents coming to family events? And so when we're engaging families, are we doing this in a worthwhile way, or a performative way?
Again, going back to the transactional and really heading for transform.
So one of the pieces that really drew me in for community schools as an educator is that we start with an asset and a needs assessment. Many times as institutions, we go into spaces and we're like, this is what we have to offer. These are the services. And then we get disappointed when people don't show up. Needs assessment is all about going into those communities and saying what's working, what's not working, and what do you want to see change. Keep it very simple. And that's the data, and then everything that we come from is going to be based on this.
This probably was the most difficult time for us to do this work because we're sitting idle. Because historically, what we wanted to do is say, hey, can we come to your district, your hospital, your school, whatever it is, and jump in and do work with folks. But what we had to understand is we need to know what that community needs, because what we think they might need may not be what they need. So this past year, when we've been gathering this data, have been really, folks are just chomping at the bit, like they're like horses in the stalls ready to get out.
They are. And it's a beautiful thing. So university assisted community schools is just another layer. We're adding another layer, and it can go in many different directions. So Denise mentioned UPenn. They're one of the foremost institutions doing university assisted community schools. They typically offer service learning courses. So folks that might be in their pre-med program who will never really get a chance to be in public schools, UPenn's leveraging their connections with the local districts to give opportunities, learning opportunities. And that may be something that we see for ourselves in the future. University Assisted Community Schools in Binghamton come out of their social work department. They are doing more of a services option, right? They're doing more of a services piece, trying to address the lack of mental health support that we have in public schools. We really don't have any mental health support in public schools. So something that we want to address.
I'll just add,
yeah.
and that was one of the reasons we chose Beekmantown, because we also have an ed advisory board that I host. And the superintendent at Beekmantown, one of the things when we said, what do you need in schools? The immediate things he said, we need more social workers. So Beekmantown was one of those spaces why we picked them. He's an alumni, by the way.
I think that helped. Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah. So this is our team. And the school district administrator is in there as well. So she traveled with us to UPenn.
We've got nursing up here, we've got educators, we've got social work, we have nutritional sciences, we have communication disorders and communication sciences and disorders. Yeah, we have quite a few of
Yeah,
those.
we have every major represented, I think, except for EXP.
That's right.
And they're involved, but just not
Right.
in the photo.
And there's more opportunities to bring in other colleges and areas of expertise that we'll get to in a second. Our why, Beekmantown, we, as Denise started to mention, right? Like we went with Beekmantown, we've already been working, sending some of our teacher candidates to do teacher, student teaching in these spaces. But they also already have a community-minded mindset in Beekmantown. They're already doing some of the work. We were featured in their fall newsletter. We'll be featured again in their spring newsletter. But that's really our why, right? Is to go back to those communities that are feeding us as well. This is our map that we've kind of undergone. I've added to it as we've gone through the years. So most university assisted programs will start with an existing community school. We didn't have an existing community school, so we had to really hit the ground running. As Denise mentioned, we started talking to Beekmantown. We invited the assistant superintendent to come with us to UPenn. UPenn had lots and lots of different universities come to Philly. And they did a big, big presentation on what we can do with university assisted community schools. The superintendent got to actually see community schools on the ground in Philly. So it was a really wonderful experience. When we got back, we worked with Essen, who is an alumni of SUNY Plattsburgh, and we did a presentation for their school board, and everybody seemed to be pretty on board. And then it slowed down and we started to do our asset needs assessment, right? Everybody's ready to go, but we needed to gather some data, and that's where we've been. We started doing our asset needs assessment in October, and we will be finishing up here at the end of February. I want to make the next timeline as a little more specific. So right now we're finishing up our coding and building partnerships. We've already identified some low-hanging fruit. So let's go ahead and find partners for that. We've started our science of reading. So this is really, really exciting. We have partnered with some colleagues at Burns wrote 2 reading grants.
The path forward, and we got a branch ed elite grant for an early childhood literacy program. So both of those are being implemented in
Beekmantown. And that definitely, the work that we did there for university assisted schools has definitely helped with that. But I actually got to see our undergrads there week before last. They're working one-on-one with P through 12 students. These are kids that need additional reading help. So while our public school students are getting the additional reading help they need, our students are getting a chance to do reading assessments, which is a critical area of need for our students. Everybody's really loving it.
They're teaching on site. They're teaching these classes on site.
Yeah, in the hallways, working with kids one-on-one. Everyone's already excited, and they've only had 2 sessions, so it's good stuff. It's coming up. We are working on coding within our team, and then we're going to take it to the district because we definitely want them to be a part of our analysis, right? We don't want to be the only ones talking about what this works with. What we hope is by the end of March, we are going to have our priorities determined, and that's really going to open up all of these, all the horses in the stalls are ready to go. We can start making more strategic asks of partners. I need backpack buddies. I need this.
Or if we know that they may be interested in topics that we need to tap arts and sciences, school of business,
Right.
but for now, we were just kind of gathering what we knew.
Right. We've got a Community Schools Advocacy Day happening in March, and people, one of the associate principals is coming with us. So again, it's it's an effort between SUNY Plattsburgh and the school district. And then for the remainder of the spring semester, we just are going to continue to identify partners and figure out like what do we need to change, who do we need to talk to, is there a point person. To keep everything sustainable, we've been trying to fill in the gaps. Typically, you need a community school coordinator that's on the ground with schools. I've been filling in that way. So I've been doing weekly campus visits. I'm on one of the, so we are working with Beekmantown Elementary School, Beekmantown Middle School, and Cumberland School. So I'm rotating between those three schools. I've been able to do about 4 visits each semester, but it's been wonderful because then I can go into the cafeteria and help with that, or I can, go to bus duty, wherever they need me to go. Teachers appreciate you jumping in and helping out. We've been able to attend school events. We continue to do lobbying. I mentioned the reading grants. And then we also have a HRSA grant to address those social work needs. So we've got a 2.4 million grant that's happening over the next 40 years that are going to help us fill those needs for social work in schools.
We do have an intern there who's been working with the counseling department, so that's been a really nice asset for the district, is having a person.
Yep. There's our social work intern. Lots of opportunities for us to do research. I'm not going to dive too much into this, but we are working with Binghamton and UPenn are helping us quite a bit. Like they've been partners with us. So we've got some of the best folks in the nation helping us with this.
And one of the reasons they like working with us is because we did start at ground zero, that we started at the beginning of what a university assisted community school would be with the asset needs assessment, not jumping in middle of something. So we're actually chronicling the full development.
Absolutely. This is one of our last slides. It's the community school coordinator. They really are the key piece. And I've been standing in as this person for, as I mentioned, for this past year. When I first learned about community schools, it was kind of sold to everyone that this is the only thing that costs anything, right? That the community school coordinator position is really the only thing that takes money. We are still in the process of figuring out how we are going to get that money. And so one of the reasons why we wanted to talk to you all is just to let you know that, we're out there, have us on your radar. There's program services, other people that you think we need to be talking to. We'll do it.
Yeah, and this is actually why we're here. We actually talked to Michael Cashman before, when he was still on university council. I think he came and said, hey, I think this should be on the agenda. So we were lobbying him, and we also lobbied Billy Jones. So a couple of different things, but we will continue to have conversations with folks about the funding, but we wanted you all to know that that's where we are.
I've used this slide, for every presentation for school boards and for school staff. When we make changes in schools, it can make people clear. It's one thing that I saw in Durham when we were working in Durham, is that parents got very uncomfortable. What are you doing? So I created this to kind of say, like, we know that this is loose. We know that there's no immediate structure. That is uncomfortable for folks. But, asking for people to come in with grace and openness and solutions orientation. This QR code is the same that is on that card that you all have. It should give you some pretty Community Schools 101 type of information if you want to do a deeper dive. This was us. We did a trunk or treat for Beekmantown Elementary School, and a blast. It was a blast. The little kid, my favorite was there was a little kid dressed as a spider, and they had used socks to create the spider arms. It was cool.
Creativity. Any questions?
Do you have any way of measuring whether this works or not?
Yeah. So the metrics that, aside from district things that states are already collecting, one of the things that that community schools will rely on, they look at absenteeism and how that's impacting absenteeism, teacher turnover. It's been really successful. I think with the sites that have a community school model in place for over 5 years, you can start to see some of that end of grade Regents exam scores. But yes, there are metrics out there. And my hope is that we might even be able to create new metrics. Like, how do we get out from underneath what we're doing with schools right now and measure them in social emotional ways?
Right, and even learning gains, while we can't necessarily attribute things directly, us being involved in things like the tutoring. One of the things we jumped in there immediately is because we were able to look at the report cards and we knew their literacy scores, they needed help. So that's why we jumped in early with that. So hopefully over time, if our students are doing this year over year, we can start seeing change.
Attendance would seem to be a pretty good measure.
Absolutely.
That's usually one of the first things that we see.
Yeah, everything is
Very excited because
Where
they
the-
got someone coming in.
Yeah. The before and after kind of, they do it cuts.
Right.
We did it. It's, yeah.
So Jim actually jumped onto the same question. I was going to do it a different way. If I put you in my time machine, we go 6 years into the future. And so now you're visiting Beekmantown Middle School or elementary school. What are you seeing going on that actually demonstrate this is having an impact? But I think on the other side, what makes parents want to buy into this or be part of it when the word gets out through the North Country that we've got this phenomenal community school university assisted program going? What makes them, for example, other schools go, gosh darn it, why aren't we part of this? And so I think, how do you enhance that sort of feeling across the North Country?
Well, that is our goal. One of the things too is understanding what level of resources we actually need, because we have a large swath of the workers who would be students. Because as they talked about, there are service learning courses that UPenn advocates for. So we looked at some of our CFS courses as possible ways to prepare students to go out and do some of the service learning. And we also, UPenn made us aware that we can use work study dollars as long as it's not for the credits. So we have a lot of way to pay students to go out and do some of that service learning and leveraging our work study monies and things like that. So there are ways that then because we are seeing from the beginning to the end, we will have a better understanding of how to do this with other districts and how to better leverage the resources. We've got 11 folks who wanted to dive in Beekmantown. Beekmantown can't handle all 11 of those folks. So how do we find out what folks need and provide them what they need?
I think from a very selfish point of view, this is an opportunity to help North Country students achieve the best possible educational outcome that they could look for. But from a regional economic standpoint, these are the types of individuals that we would love to have in our community transitioning into careers, transitioning into the community college and to the university. So I'm wondering, how do you prepare the university, the community college, and the local employers to understand that these students have come through a community engaged situation? How do you translate that into the workplace and into the universities?
I think one of the things we'll have to do is develop a task force or something like that, where it has the players around, what are the needs, what can you provide? So understanding what the community can offer the North Country.
Sure. So if I was a billionaire business person, I might say, well, this might be worth investing in.
Exactly.
So there's probably some, I don't think there's billionaire businesses, but there's a conversation there with employers about how do they invest in well.
And I see it as a way to enhance recruitment here, because when they're seeing us in schools and the work that we're doing and building relationships, why would you want to go somewhere else? Because you can stay right here in your community and have a huge impact. And so if they're seeing that done in their school.
Let me say PR, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, the kids do, to learn.
And if you're showing up and they're showing up.
At all levels, including middle school, right? And I would say 99% of the parents really want their kids to learn. I don't care what the background is, the parents, want to see success. And when they see a warm, caring group of people coming in from the college, I think that's awesome, first of all. PR, that's awesome.
And that's where the trust is built.
And most importantly, kids see what happens. You're going to want others that want help. I mean, we've had over the years various programs. Let me just say up or down. Oh my gosh, it was. Anyway, awesome. And the PR pertaining to that program about, going to college was amazing. Anyway.
So we see lots of possibilities.
So I have a question.
There's
I have
numbers.
a first and third grader, so at Plattsburgh City School District, so how are you? What barriers are you facing getting into another school district? And
I can tell you directly for that one. We had a third section of the literacy class that we asked Plattsburgh, would you like this? They said no.
well, we're so blind to that though.
I don't know that we.
They didn't give us a why, so we are also now in Ausable for that third section. So we are.
And the thought is too, let's get successful all around Plattsburgh.
Right.
We have to,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
let's work with Peru next and let's, let's start looking. I know that doesn't necessarily address your children.
But it is first graders that we are working with.
Right.
Well, and I was just thinking, not necessarily the academics, but the social, social, emotional education that the students are not receiving in K through 12 right now.
So I want to say something to this because I feel like it kind of answers a few of the questions. When we look at the data, right, people that work in schools are usually geared towards increasing scores, they get all into the matrix. Parents want social emotional belonging for their kids. When we ask
Listen
parents
for the counselors and the social workers. They're there.
right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And teachers do care.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
they
but I'm
care.
just saying, when we look at parents are typically are less worried about reading scores and more worried about, does my child want to go to school, or do they feel like they have a place in that space? So I think there's a social emotional component here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just speak to that because education that my kids, I don't need them from the academic piece, but there's nothing at a school that shows them how to have difficult conversations, or if you have overwhelming feelings, how do you deal with that, or things like that. I think that's a huge gap.
Absolutely.
That maybe this program sounds like it could
And that is,
address.
and that's what we learned when we went to Binghamton. It was like, oh, it's more than education. It
Yeah.
is. So, yeah, it helped open up our vision and our thinking. And it really has become how we're rooted and grounded in the HHS, is looking at what assets can we bring.
Yeah, I think that, and to your point, so like the counselors are great and they're wonderful, but they're dealing with the students that are having an health.
Well, the big problem is you've got, and again, you've got one.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you have two in Bleasdale Elementary, you have two, that's 600 and some odd kids, two over in Cumberland Head. Well, plus the social worker, which will run back and forth, and in the high school, there are 4 and there's well over 1,000 kids. I mean.
And a lot of that work is.
What is money?
Not the same.
So the fact that your program will help students here, plus, I just think it's awesome. It's awesome.
That's great.
So it was kind of overlap. Yeah, I just wonder, can people go and advocate for?
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm like.
Right, what can I do? What can I be pushed, right? I mean, my kids are out of school. That, but I'm with you. I'm like, we don't want to see in this area, some students coming out of them further ahead than everybody else around.
Yeah.
We want it to be an equal playing field, and then that's a great group of kids to be choosing from to.
Right.
Exactly, to keep here, and then to.
You'll be the best recruiters.
Right, exactly.
I think there'll be mechanisms for that eventually, right? We get a group of parents from Beekmantown to come and speak at a school board in another or another district and say, look at what happened for us. We want this for you, I think like the community that creates that. So I think there's lots of possibilities.
Yeah, and my sister-in-law is tall. Really, but I can see her being willing to go and talk and say, hey, they all meet once a month. And so they should be sharing that information with all the other schools we're at. They all meet.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Look forward to, hearing more great things.
Megan, your mind is like going.
Can you see it?
I can see it.
Go to the next school board.
I had a mistake.
Can I ask you, do you approach the principals or the superintendent?
The superintendent, we're not even getting, and then I, so the education advisor.
That's the school, not just.
Oh, yeah, right, both seats, yeah.
They come to us, but we
Oh.
go to the BOCES one.
No,
Okay, I would suggest, when you've got time, the directors of school counseling.
Fine, John.
Yeah, I spoke out. You know, they hope they can get some.
Yeah. Open to talking. Mind making an introduction?
What I do, what? I'm.
council members, we did have this other session over. Oh,
I love it.
is everybody still planning to attend?
They're sick. They may, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Christina said,
Jim?
I'm sorry, Christina said yes.
So it's been a while.
Yes.
It doesn't. It doesn't change. I know it doesn't change at all. I know they're making.
Oh, 6:12.
Yes. I just happen to know.
I've been in contact with TJ, we've been texting back and forth, so he knows that. Smaller, but his daughter, I mean, there's a. No, he's over there right now. He's not going in.
I let them know your recommendation. Well, actually, she'll be such a student start, but it's foundation for next lesson. I think they part of students in the local school that's mentors and. And like, it's places there to.
Lunch 5 minutes and.
I said sense each other. Yeah. Yeah. So it's nice to see this.
Those authentic person in. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well.
The next place is us.
Yeah.
And then it's, so,
Could do and do.
like I said, we should.
That's it.
No,
Because
because
we know they're not, yeah, so this gives them access to all of those things.
That's great.
Thanks to
myself. Thank you. I mean, I know that sounds petty. It's like, let's.
Somebody wants to go.
Oh, well, that used to happen a lot.
Wants me to say.
Yes, yes.
A lot of them.
No, I'm just, well, no, I have waiting here. They can run it. Easy. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Totally different for schools.
Well, if there's these two. We'll have them wait, but if not, we'll do it another time.
Just
I just feel badly because he's waiting.
Okay.
I'm here over now, so we just have to bring that attitude.
Wash your hands.
Okay.
Schools work together.
Yeah. You have.
No.
Oh, cannot go to the.
Yeah, I don't think I may actually be.
When I, we did it and the PTO presidents were like, come to football practice.
Yes, so we did.
Let's say.
Oh,
we're talking.
Still planning on.
Maybe
I like 18th.
Keyhole.
Oh, I was going to go, but.
So I'm going to be walking people over. Or I could try you if you.
So, yeah, you gotta get back. Yeah.
You prefer to be walking.
wanna go? Oh, awesome, all right.
I'll let TJ know you're on your way over.
Sure, I'll drive over.
Yeah, you can park right in front of Keyhole, those guys
Regardless, it's, I know in every.
Keyhole 6.
Yeah.
It's a comp.
Taking the lead.
Absolutely.
Travels home.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I'll let TJ know. Thanks, Marcus.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean,
Later.
yeah, I mean, you can't help that.
I'm not 100% sure.
So, okay, all right, I'm gonna let them
Yeah,
know.
you
Okay,
too.
I'm gonna put my coat on and get going. Oh.
We're going over to Keyhole.
Yes, I'm going to go to Keyhole.
It's a very cool operation.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
See you in the next time.
Yes.
I've received.
Well, I'm sorry I can't come to the Chancellor's Award thing on Thursday.
That's fine.
I'm going out of town.
Glad we're able to.
Thank you.
For lunch.
Sid, you're a see. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, hey, of course, and I won't see you, but that's awesome.
Thank you.
I wish you could with her.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I had a friend that headed down to Florida, no, North Carolina. For the first time it ever snowed there in 20 years.
You were there or you're going there?
No, a good friend of mine. I'm helping you, call up. How did that go? Anyway,
See you next time.
yes, absolutely.
We'll just everything sort it out.
You know what I mean? So.
The table, but I didn't move any of your stuff.
That's all right. I was glad to walk out without it.
You're not getting any of the snow where you, did you get it?
No, we didn't get any of
Not
that.
that far,
No,
okay.
no, Albany got it, but we didn't get any, so.
Well, a friend of mine texted me this morning. She's like, it's snowing sideways. It's literally snowing. Like, I'm so glad I'm not there.
We had a foot last week,
Wow.
but, yeah, nothing.